Welcome back, everybody, to Station C and C Chat. Glad to have you back here. This is episode number 13, I believe. Or is this number 12? We don't even know.
12, 13.
Number 13, everybody. Thanks for having us back here. We are glad to be. That's all I can do. That's a lot.
Was that DJ or radio voice?
That was a little bit of everything, I feel like.
Mix.
A little mix, a little something to keep the kids excited and engaged at home. But we are back, Station C Chat here at the Star Hill Dairy Market downtown. There's their cup. There's water inside of that. Once again, thanks to those guys for letting us crash their pad for another groovy episode of C Chat. And thank you to Pillar and Perch and Station C for also being the means behind these mics. So we appreciate all that they have done for us as well. And so I am your host, Nathan Wickline. Beside me is the lovely as always,
Sarah Messer.
There it is. And we are joined today by one of the OGs, I think, of Station C. You know what? I am going to let you introduce yourself, and Sydney, take it away and let us know all about you. Your company is Marathon Marketing.
Yeah.
Tell us who you are, what you do, what you're about, what makes you tick, and what's your sign.
Oh. Hey, everyone. I'm Sydney Chakalos. As Nathan said, I own Marathon Marketing and Branding. I started my business back in 2019, went full-time 1 month before the pandemic, and been loving serving local businesses ever since. I really help them get visible online. And if I'm not managing your marketing or your social media, I help you simplify it so that you can save time and see better results from it. So that's really
in a nutshell
what I do in a nutshell.
And how many local businesses?
13 at the moment.
Ooh, episode 13.
Episode 13. You know what? In the biz, and that's what we are in right now, the biz, we call that synergy.
That's showbiz,
the magic.
baby.
That's the magic that's happening every time here on C Chat. So 13 businesses.
Yes, a lot of social media accounts.
That's a lot.
How long have you guys been around?
So July of 2019 was when I finally started my LLC and started officially, pursuing clients. Yeah. I was doing it on the side for almost 5 years.
Okay.
Oof.
Yeah. I started with my in-laws restaurants in early 2015.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get into this? Did you go to school for this, or is this just something you said?
Yeah.
The light went on one day.
Oh no, it was totally by accident.
Okay.
So I actually went to UVA for government and minored in econ. Decided I didn't want to work up on Capitol Hill after an internship like I thought I would. Mm-hmm. Went to grad school for a year, studied business, went into government consulting, and was living in Northern Virginia. It's really expensive in Northern Virginia. And my in-laws at the time weren't happy with their marketing company. And they said, oh, well, you're pretty creative. Do you want to try and manage our social media? And we'll pay you, $400 a month. And I was like, yeah, $400 a month. That's great.
Right.
So I just started learning and taught myself. Found myself checking their social media at work all the time and doing more of their work over and over. I can say that now that I don't work there. And I said, I think I like this more than what I'm doing. So I made the jump finally in 2019.
Nice.
Took a really long time.
Yeah.
Were you living in Charlottesville by then?
Mm-mm. So at first I was living in Northern Virginia. Well, 2019, yes. But I started up in Northern Virginia, and then we didn't move to Charlottesville till 2018.
Okay.
And
so you're still pretty new. Yeah.
So it's still pretty new.
How'd you end up in Charlottesville?
I think love.
Just because of
love. Did you follow your heart?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, we would take like weekend trips all the time, Ryan and I, and we're like, why can't we just live here? And I'm like, I don't know why we can't just live here. Let's make it happen. And so I applied for a job at UVA, did a marketing role, did a couple marketing things for them for a couple years, and got us into the area, and we've been here ever since, and we love it.
Nice. And so, and you work with, you said 13 local businesses. Is there like a size that you guys kind of is in your wheelhouse? Is there small, medium, large? I mean, what is it?
I would say more on the small side. Okay. So like restaurants, brick and mortar stores, work with a couple of local service businesses like an arborist. There's only one client I have that I would say that's more medium, large scale. But
Is that Patriots Potties?
no,
I see.
no, they're smaller. They're everywhere though. They only have
I see their stuff
they have less
everywhere
than
now.
10 employees.
Are you
though.
serious?
Yeah.
Well, whatever you're doing for them, it works because if you'd asked me 6 months ago, hey, you know a good porta potty place, I'd be like, I have no clue. I know Patriots Potties now because I see your stuff everywhere, and it's kind of it gets your attention.
You remember them?
Yeah, right. And it's a great name.
I can admit I got a LinkedIn ad for them.
Did you really?
I did.
That's so funny.
I sent it to the Pillar and Perch group. I honestly had no idea it was a company you represented.
Yeah, I help with their social media.
We were trying to figure out how it showed up on.
It's probably through me because I like their stuff.
Okay.
That's what. Well, I started. I did a deep dive. I was like, why am I seeing all this stuff from Patriots Potties?
No, well, I think
Sydney.
so. I think Ben was connected with Greg because I think he saw I was connected with Greg, but Greg actually doesn't live in Charlottesville. Greg is in Northern Virginia.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Well,
But
whatever it
the
is,
algorithm has made
working.
its way to the group.
just them knowing you is working great. So
If we ever need a potty.
yeah. So
we know who to call.
I work with Dart, and they're the larger organization that I help with.
Yeah, that is it. With the new hotel and all that stuff, they're really
They got a lot of people.
you got a lot of stuff going
Yeah.
on. What so we like to work with small businesses. What is when you walk into a small business, what is the number one thing you see that you kind of think to yourself, oh my gosh, why are you still doing that, or why aren't you doing it? Is there any one thing that stands out that these guys are just missing?
The biggest thing I see is lack of consistency. So a lot of times you look at their accounts and they post once a month or once every other week. And there's some businesses you'll even look at and you go, are they even open?
Right.
Because they haven't posted in a few months. And so I think that's honestly the biggest thing I see is just not getting visible and a lack of consistency.
What's the is there like you said, you go to some of these places and you look at whether it's Facebook or Instagram or something, and it's been like 2 months, and you're like, I don't even know. Like you said, are they still open? Is there? I mean, is this a daily thing? Or is it whatever schedule you set? That's what you have to be consistent with.
Yeah, that's a good question because everyone thinks consistency means they've got to get on there every day.
Right.
And I think that that's actually one of the quickest ways to lead to burnout. So if you're having to feel like you have to post every single day and come up with a piece of content, there's a couple things I see. One, it stresses them out. They do really well for a month and then they're like, oh my God, this is so exhausting. And then they go back to being inconsistent or the quality tends to suffer. So it's better to put out really good, engaging pieces of content like 3-4 times a week instead of every single day. And I would say get visible somewhere on like your stories or somewhere that's a little bit more informal and kind of fun. You don't have to design a pretty graphic or edit the photo or think of what to say, but like just getting behind the scenes, and people love that kind of stuff.
Do you think that it's more important or more impacting does it have to be a mix of like personal stuff or work stuff or, because sometimes all I get from these folks is just personal stuff. I'm like, great. You got 3 dogs and a cat. I don't care. But then it's also sometimes I'm great. You have a lot of potties, but I don't know anything else about, you know what I mean? It's like,
do you want to see the dog on the potty or
that's what I'm talking about. Once again, magic happens.
Yeah.
Right
Magic.
It's really just, I think it's a blend. I tell people if they're not comfortable, like I don't want people to feel like they've got to get on social media and they got to share their whole life, right? Like if you're not comfortable with it, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Pick and choose what you're comfortable with. Pick what are going to be your connection points with your audience and kind of run with those. So like for me, I've really found like the connection point I like to talk about with my audience is like running a business and being a mom. But some people don't want to talk about being a mom. Some people don't want to share their kids on social media, and that's okay.
Sure.
I think what's most important is that you're able to tell the story behind your business. Like people are really into storytelling nowadays. I don't think that's going to go out of style on social media. And so if you can find points in your story that are going to connect with other people, that's going to help them relate to you more. So my advice would be work on your story, define what it is, and tell it in a way that it's going to resonate and connect with the people that you want to draw in.
I know when I've seen you and do your posts, it's you and you're talking, and it's not just some other thing. And I guess that's the way you kind of marry the two, right? The personal with the professional. Just let them see you and hear your voice. You know, that's important.
Yeah. I think that that's the most important thing. And I have found like the rise in video marketing has been the biggest blessing for my business. I know that video is so intimidating for a lot of people, but it really is the fastest way to establish trust, grow your relationships, and for people to connect with you. And if you're not, like, let's say you're a product-based business, like if you're not comfortable getting behind the camera just yet, that's okay. But find other ways that you can incorporate video, because I think there's just power behind like seeing a product on video versus seeing it in a photo. It just is a little bit different. If you're a service-based business, you know, people connect with you. So I think it's a fast way to draw people in. And that was really how my business grew when I first went full time, because I started doing live videos and it was right when COVID hit and everyone was online and I grew my audience. So, I mean, I went from, you know, less than 100 people in a Facebook group to over 600 inside of 6 weeks, just because I was getting on video and people were starting to share what I was training.
Wow.
So it makes a difference.
I mean, I love the part of your story where you didn't start out doing this, because I think oftentimes, I know the three of us over here on the side of the room all studied or started out in a different field than where we are now. I don't really know that much about you.
I was going to be a senator. That was my gig.
Right.
So
That's right.
I am not doing what I thought I was going to do.
Yet. There's still time.
I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
What else you got there? Do you have another question?
No, but I'm now thinking, how can we use Sydney's services for your political career?
Yeah, I mean, I am easily corruptible. I can be bought. So
This is true.
if you need just a vessel, I'm your guy. I'm at that point. So I know that, speaking of video, one of the kind of the trending buzzy little things that I'm seeing and hearing about now are video emails. Is that am I way behind on that? Is that not trending buzzy? But
video emails?
Like video in your emails. Have you heard of this?
I mean, I don't think you're way behind. I think that there's people that utilize it. I think that it's not something I've really experimented with yet, but I do know there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that use video in like a sense of they've gotten really smart where they'll pre-record a video, and let's say they have some launch going or they're trying to sell a program. I mean, you can track everybody's activity now online. It's kind of creepy, but you can see like, hey, this person went to my sales page and they didn't buy. And then they might get an email that's a video like, hey, like, I just wanted to reach out. I saw you were interested in the program and I want to share a few things. And they kind of send that little snippet. And I've heard people have gotten really great results with it. So, I mean, there's no reason you couldn't do that. My piece of advice would be to have captions, though, because a lot of times if we're on our phone or you're reading your email or you're out in public and you're getting caught up, they're probably not going to have their sound on.
You don't want the sound on sometimes too. Yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
So I would just say make it accessible if you follow that.
What kind of videos are you getting in your email, Nathan? I'm kind of worried.
Because I've seen little like graphics and memes and fun things like that. But
so I know that in my prior gig, I was director of sales and marketing for a builder, and we were out at Vegas at the builder show, and there's this company and some of the larger builders were implementing this video email with their internet sales team. And all it was the internet salesperson would hold up a sign. It would be like, hey, Sydney, thanks for visiting, the website. Love to talk to you for 10 minutes. And they'd hold that up. There wasn't really even sound with it, but it was enough that you're like, wow, what is that?
Just something with motion.
Some motion that captured the eye and said your name or whatever. And they said it was through the roof.
Well, so I think there's a couple reasons that was really powerful. So one, the motion differentiates, grabs attention. And then the other big piece, and I would say even the more important piece of that, is the personalization. Right. Like they feel special when they get that.
It's not just some thing they went through, especially now with. So this is my big question for you. Sorry, Sydney, other Sydney, I banged the table. How is ChatGPT and its ilk
AI
and all the AI, how is that going to change our world, especially in the marketing world? Because I know right now I can do an email, I can and it's just like, that is perfect. So what's on the horizon for that?
I think that is drastically shaking up the marketing world right now. I think it has a lot of people fearing for their jobs too. I do think that they are still going to need to be a human touch to that. But the technology is incredible and it can save you a ton of time because you can type in a prompt, you can tell it the tone you want the voice in, and it's going to pop something out for you. I think that it's really helpful if people are struggling with content ideas. It's figuring out how to use that tool to your advantage. The one thing I will say is I do wonder if enough people start to use it, if you're going to start seeing kind of like everyone starting to sound the same. So I don't recommend the approach of like going into Chat GPT, copying and pasting and boom, calling it a day. Go in, put your brand voice on it, put your personal touches, you know, kind of, I think that it does a good job of like getting everything grammatically correct and all of those different things, but go in, do your fact checking, make those edits and kind of make it more in your voice.
So outside of the AI Chat GPT world, what is something that is on the horizon that you see could be big, or is there anything right now?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing right now in the marketing space, because it's giving people a lot of time back. It's allowing them to get really efficient. And I think it's going to also give people, you know, the opportunity to do things they may not have been focusing on in their marketing because everything else was so time consuming. So maybe that's having more time to work on video. Maybe that's having more time to go into your analytics and get more data driven. Yeah. But I think that's the big thing.
I know the weirdest thing that I use it for, it's not weird, is so for my 5-year-old at night, instead of grabbing a book now, I say, what kind of story do you want to hear? And she'll say, I want to hear about mermaids, lions, and this. And I'll say, write me a 10-paragraph story about this. And in 45 seconds,
you've got a full story.
It's an amazing little story. And it incorporates all that
funny
stuff. And it's a different story every night. So
that's cool.
Yeah. It's my 17-year-old wants to be a writer, and we're like, well, this might change a lot of that. But like I said, it's always a place for human voice, and there's always a place that's where your expertise comes in. We say, okay, I get it. We've got a message now, but how do we make it your message? How do we make this so it sounds like?
Yeah. And I think something to be conscious of, I was just thinking about this after you asked the question, is like a lot of people I think are waking up to how much data and privacy they're giving away on a daily basis. Oh, yeah. And a lot of companies are starting to have to put restrictions on that, or you're getting regulations kind of slapped on like, can't do that. Or they're finding ways to, hey, you don't want to share all this information. You don't have to turn this off. So I think that's probably going to be the next big challenge for marketers to navigate is.
Do you get pushback sometimes from your clients there if there's a particular, thing that they don't want to use, some platform, or they're just like, nope, I don't want to do that? Do you ever have that? Has that ever been an issue?
I don't feel like I've gotten a ton of pushback. Usually my clients are on board. If I kind of press like, hey, do you want to get on video, or like, let's get your face on your social media. Sometimes I get I don't really want my picture taken, or I don't really want to be seen. Sometimes I can convince them, and then they see really good results, and then they do it more. But that's probably the biggest area.
Once they start getting the positive results, they're like, I don't mind being on camera.
Because when they're reaching out to me, they're thinking, I don't have to touch my marketing. But in reality, like, it's a partnership, and we still want to keep that personal touch. I don't want someone to go to their social media and be like, oh, look, they hired somebody. Like, I want them to go to the social media and be like, oh, they really stepped it up.
What is the thing that you're most proud of? Like, is there a company that you've worked with that at the end of the day, you guys did this one thing and you're like, we really made a difference there. This I'm going to hang my hat on this one. You got something like that?
So I got a couple of them, but I would say my favorite one, and it's probably because, obviously this was for family, so that was a big deal. But when COVID hit, one of my in-laws' restaurants, one was a pizza restaurant, so they were booming. People wanted to take out pizza all day long during COVID. But the other restaurant was dine-in. It was an older crowd that dined there. So these are the people that are like very COVID conscious. They're not leaving the house. Then they have to shut their doors. What do you do so that you stay in business? And so the thing that we did was we started a marketplace. I launched a Shopify store for them. I built it in 2 days. It was a lot of work, but we actually started selling groceries to people twice a week. So the things that you couldn't get in the grocery stores. Like eggs were hard to find, bread was hard to find, toilet paper was hard to find. We were selling those types of things in the marketplace, or like the meats, like where they get their steaks and different things like that. And people could go on, they could grocery shop, they'd come to the restaurant and they could pick it up. And there were 2 days a week they could come and do that. And that kept them going.
Wow, that's a great idea.
They made thousands of dollars from it because people were like, this is great. I don't have to go to the grocery store and worry about getting sick. I don't have to worry about going and not finding what I want. And it was convenient. And they just drove and someone put it right in their trunk. And they knew they were getting restaurant quality food.
Yeah.
So
that's an amazing idea.
That was something I was proud of, because they couldn't, people weren't able to come in and dine.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that's that out of the box thinking. So you should hang your hat on that one. That's a great one. What's the other one?
I'm not a website designer, but that was.
What's your second one? You said
it was fun. And then my second one, Patriot Potties. So they started in the midst of the pandemic in May of 2020. And we started running Google ads. I was like, let's just, the outdoor events aren't really a thing. It's not happening a ton, but worked on Google ads with them. And within 2 months, they were at $17,000 a month in revenue as a new business. So
what are you doing with potties in the middle of?
It works.
You gotta have them on build sites.
You have construction, you have a lot of different things.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Because I would think, well, that's a horrible idea, but
music festivals.
Worked. You know why it worked? Marathon marketing.
Well, and they got great they're really great people. So I know they don't let their customers down.
Yeah.
When they work with them. But yeah, the Google ads got them visible when their website was brand new, and you're building up that SEO, and it was great for getting them out there in the market.
So I'm new. I'm starting up my own little potty place here, not competing with Patriot Potties.
What's it called?
Don't sprinkle when you tinkle.
Okay.
How about that?
It's going to be an uphill climb. Good luck, Sydney.
Yeah. So is there a platform right now, or one certain thing I should be doing? If I am unfamiliar with everything and I'm like, I need to do something, where would you say at least you have to do this?
Okay. So I would say get visible on social media. I would say figure out who your target audience is. What platform are they hanging out on, right? If you're serving 50 plus, you don't need to go on TikTok to go viral. You need to figure out where your ideal audience is hanging out. And then I would say have a strategy that is a mix between organic and paid. So if you want to get visible right away on social media, it's a long uphill climb right now to do it organically, because when you're posting, it's, you could have 500 people that like your page. They're not all going to see it. It's about 5 or 6% initially, which is like a really small percentage, unless that percentage starts to engage, and then you're going to see more people starting to see it. But it's a lot of effort. And what I've seen work is go in, post a few good things. If there's a post that week that, look at your content, see what's getting good traction. If something's starting to pick up a little, that's a good indicator that other people like your audience are going to also like it. So put some dollars behind it, get in front of your target audience. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be $10-15 and you're reaching 1,000 plus more people. And it's a great way to grow.
Is Facebook still like the golden one, or is it like Instagram? Which is?
So I think it really depends on your client.
Okay.
I have a couple of clients, I have a lot of clients in the Warrington area, since that's where I'm from. And Facebook is still like a big thing there. Like that demographic, they love Facebook. But if you're looking at more of like a under 40 demographic, Instagram is taken off. And I think there's so many great ways to get visible on Instagram without even having to spend a dime. And there's just a lot of different ways to grow and make it easy for people to do business with you.
For the 50 crowd, Facebook is kind of going away, because I was looking at it the other day and I was like, only thing I'm seeing right now are ads. Yeah. Companies that I follow. And the only reason I come here is like, did anyone die today? I'm at that age. And so that's it. Yeah. And so I was like, I don't go there anymore. I don't. So
Yeah.
just like, is this thing dying on the vine?
No, I mean,
It's
I
really
think,
depressing.
Well, there you go. There's
I think they're losing.
Debbie Downer of the day.
They're definitely losing their younger demographic. Like my husband, I think he goes on Facebook maybe once a month, just because he's like, oh, did someone, I got to respond to a fan. No, not quite there yet. But, did a family member message me or comment on something and I want to make sure I respond to them kind of thing.
Like a great aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think if you do it right, you can still get a lot of engagement there. You can still get visible. I know that because I see my clients still doing it.
Yeah.
But I definitely see Instagram taking off and I see a lot of people going there because it's kind of like this happy blend. It's not all videos, and it's not all political battles in your timeline like you kind of see a lot on Facebook. It's just, I don't know. It feels a little more personal when you go in the app.
How about LinkedIn? How does LinkedIn fit? Because, as Station C, it feels like
LinkedIn.
Yes, I feel like there's a lot of us living on LinkedIn, and that's where a lot of this stuff is happening. And I'll be honest, up until a year and a half ago, I didn't do much with it.
Yeah.
And I see the value, but I'm just like, how does that fit in? Are we talking? We're not talking to customers anymore. Are we talking to other businesses? I mean, how is it?
I mean, I will say regardless of what social media platform you decide to be like your platform, pick the one you're the most comfortable with, go all in, and you're going to get out what you put into it. I don't think there's like a magic formula. Like I picked this one, like I have to be on this one or my business isn't going to grow. I think it's what you do with it. LinkedIn, I do think there's an opportunity to build a really good professional personal brand on it. I see a lot of people doing really well with it if they're consistent, if they're kind of putting themselves out there and they're working to grow that personal brand. There's a great opportunity on LinkedIn to get seen and get visible. One of the things I think that platform does really well is they do get your content out in front of people that may not be following you, which is nice.
So you spoke at one of the meetings and it was the things that we need to do. Like if we get a post and how do we do that? I mean, so for all the Station C folks watching, that weren't there, what needs to happen? I say, hey, check this out. Yeah. What needs to happen for that thing to blow up? Or not blow up, but just...
So first, quality content before anything. That's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help. The other things that are going to really help, and I kind of think of this as like a chronological thing. So if you start at the base of how you engage with something, you can like a post or react to a post. That's going to the algorithm's going to be like, okay, some people find this interesting. They're going to show it to a couple other people. What really is going to spark that post growing is engagement. So if someone comments and then you're commenting back, you're starting a conversation. That means people are staying on the platform. People are finding what you're putting out there meaningful. It's starting a discussion. That's what LinkedIn wants. That's going to really help. It's also going to help because if you're commenting on someone's content and someone in your network gets a notification or like in their feed, Nathan commented on so-and-so's post. I might not even be connected with them, but I'm going to see that you engaged with that content because you're in my network or someone I engage with. And the real magic comes when people start sharing your content because then you're using other people's networks. So the content is going beyond just the people you're connected with on LinkedIn, but it's going to the hundreds of other people that are in someone else's network.
So I did that after our meeting, and I shared a thing about solar, and I went to our Station C chat and said, "Hey guys, like this and comment," and it did. I just watched that thing and it just got a life of its own. And then because there was solar in there, I ended up getting like 6,000 impressions or something like that. But it went all over the world. Yeah. It was crazy. It was my number one or number two place was like Scandinavia with all these big solar companies. And I had these people reaching out to me about solar I was like, I'm not the guy you think I am. I was just,
but I could be.
But yes, I could be.
But I will become.
But it was crazy. I was like, this is wild. And so we actually looked at it at ABC. We kind of ramped the flagpole.
You must have someone in your network that has a lot of connections in Scandinavia.
It was.
It's me.
It was crazy.
Don't ask.
It was it was these big companies, and then within these companies, you would see like 40 or 50 in each one of these companies, and it was the craziest thing ever.
Engagement is where the magic's going to happen. And then also just using new features when they come out. So social media platforms put something out. They love when you go on ahead and you start using it because that's what they want. They want it to take off. And so that also can help you a lot.
Is there one that we don't know about that we should know about? It's probably like 20 of them that I should know about, but like for the people that are connected.
I mean, you can start newsletters. That's a new one. And that's a great way to get people, kind of viewing you as a thought leader in your space. If you're putting regular content out,
Newsletter?
you can actually start a newsletter, and you can invite your connections to subscribe to it, and they get to see what you do every week.
Oh, that's a new LinkedIn feature. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know how many months ago it was, but it's relatively new.
New to you.
I get all the invitations.
I saw it the other day.
So-and-so invited you to follow, this whatever weekly newsletter. So that's like always a great tool to utilize because people don't have to share your email because people are a little weird about sharing their email
Right.
and they're going to still see your content. Polls are really fun. People love to engage with polls and share their opinions. So
They do, don't
that's
We're
always
very
gonna,
self-important.
it's the same thing on Instagram. You get on your stories, you put a poll or a quiz or something up. People love to click the buttons and have fun with that. And it's going to help your content too. So.
Yeah. So I do it. I'm like, yes, obviously you want my opinion on this. What was I going to, I had to say something. Let me think about what I was going to say. Because it's going to be magic,
Is it?
I think. Oh, I know what it is.
There
So the reason I was asking about these new things, and maybe you got it, but I saw a lot of folks from Station C. All of a sudden, I'm getting these emails or texts. Something's reaching out to me for Alignable.
Oh, yes.
Have you been getting a ton of that?
I have been getting a ton of
And
that.
it's like in the past week, and it's like, well, so-and-so, wants to put you in their network, referral network with Alignable.
What is Alignable? I think it's it's a new networking but professional sort of thing. Like it's sort of like LinkedIn, but
So-
almost more like Yellow Book pages.
Don't take it personal if you send me that, but I have responded.
I don't have
to
an
none of
Alignable,
those.
yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what this is. Yeah, so
I may have an invite sitting somewhere, but I haven't
I bet you
seen
do.
it yet.
It feels like
have a lot.
It was a lot of folks from
Yeah.
Station C, and there's some folks from outside of Station C. But it was just like, hey, so and so thinks that you guys have the same thing and would like to add you to the referral network or something. Just
Yeah.
go to Alignable, and I was like, is this yet another?
Nathan just wants to feel important.
Huh? No, I'd rather I
you
didn't
are
feel
important,
because
Nathan.
I get
Okay, takeaway thoughts. If you could give one piece of advice to our lovely Station C community, what would it be?
Oh. So I would say be authentic in your content. There's not some kind of magic trick that's going to grow your accounts overnight to 1 million people, even though everyone wants you to think that. And the way you get consistent and you grow is by just being authentic, because your content's going to be a lot easier. People are going to relate to it more. And when you have good energy behind the content that you're putting out, that good energy comes back. People can sense it.
I love that.
I love that
It's
too.
beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Poetic.
Sydney.
Yeah, thank you.
How can we find you on the web?
Thank you. So I mostly hang out on Instagram. So at Marathon Marketing Branding on Instagram. You can connect with me personally, Sydney Chakalos on LinkedIn. I do have a Facebook page if you're into that, Marathon Marketing and Branding. And then my website is marathonmarketingbranding.com. So there's
Awesome.
a few places we can get connected.
All right. Go see her. Go check her out. She will help you. I'm telling you, if it's anything like Patriots Potties, you're going to be everywhere. So our next, thanks everybody for coming out last Thursday to our meeting. It was great seeing you there as well.
Yes.
And I think you brought your husband and your kid.
Yes.
Yeah, you got the whole fam.
It was very hot though. So he was like,
Not happy.
he's a little temperamental.
That's your husband.
The husband?
I wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
Both. I wasn't allowed to leave my little bubble.
Right. So
We
yeah,
had fun with Val's daughter. So
that was fun though. That was a good little place. I'd never been there before.
Yeah.
And so, December the 5th, was it? No, I'm sorry. I'm still messing with Sydney. May the 6th, 5 p.m. is going to be our next big event at Hogs and Kisses.
Yes, RSVP is very important for
Yeah.
this one.
So do we have any tickets left?
We have a few unclaimed tickets, but
Okay.
a small number.
All right. And if you don't get them from us, you're not getting them because it's sold out.
I'm
Sold
sad
out.
I'll be out of town.
Yeah. It's
We'll
gonna
do
be,
it again. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
We can visit Anne's place
Yeah.
anytime. We went on Tuesday, actually.
There you go. Scoop some poop.
We scooped some poop. We drove some carts. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So if you, I think you can go scoop poop there anytime.
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 Or just pet the pigs, you know.
Or pet the pigs. I think they want you to scoop poop if you
yeah.
pet pigs.
It's not that bad, just so you know.
Well, we'll
It's
see.
a good exercise.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's May the 6th. That is a Saturday, so it's different than what we usually do. So
Yeah, extend it up.
keep that in mind. So there's no excuse, unless you're traveling, for people not to come out, John Smith. What? Come on out. That is the end of this episode. We'll see you next week. Who do we have next week? Do we know?
It's a big surprise.
Oh.
We do have a guest.
It's a big surprise.
Yeah. We have the next 2 months lined up.
I know that.
I like to keep everyone on their toes.
I'm excited.
Good.
I'm excited. I think the folks, the millions and millions at home are excited as well. So thanks everybody for watching Station C. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.